Thank you, Chairman. Yesterday I was, it was a timely visit indeed. I was at Fryer Machine Systems in Paterson, New York, and Fryer Machine Systems has been in business for 30 years locally in the Hudson Valley, and they export machines, devices, enormous devices that create components for manufacturing throughout the world. They're a great success story in many ways, local employer, very dedicated. And during the course of this tour, I actually had occasion to find out about the burdens that we place on our private enterprise, hardworking private enterprise sector through trade policy, through environmental policy, through tax policy, through through financial sector policy, and through healthcare policy. But the number one problem that Mr. Fryer mentioned to me when I asked him what he'd like me to take home to Washington was the federal deficit. This was the number one problem. He's a business trying to earn for his employees, for all those who rely on his continuing to be in business based on his inherent worth in the marketplace. He has to prove himself. His workers have to prove themselves every day. The federal government is not run as a business, as we all know, unfortunately. But right now it is in a situation analogous to a business whose receipts are far exceeded by its costs. And we have to ask for sacrifices, unfortunately, from our employees. Because unlike the private sector, unlike the enterprise sector, the federal government coerces its operating resources out of the American public. And we cannot use one argument both ways. We cannot, on the one hand, justify that federal employees are paid a much higher rate on average than the average American employee because they are inherently worthy of this, and I'm not denying their good work in any way, nor am I denigrating it. And by the same token say that, but those who earn more in the private sector, well, you know, that's something that we can tap into because, of course, the federal government deserves it more than they do. If government were the engine of growth, then we would not have the unemployment rate that we do today. We would not have a mere 63.7% of the workforce participating at this point. We wouldn't have nearly 40 million Americans either unemployed or underemployed. And we would have a far better fiscal situation. Nobody can argue that. So by endeavoring in any way to take active dollars that would be to the actual engine of growth and prosperity, which pays for everything the federal government does, which is private enterprise, we would actually be choking further what we desperately need to grow. Right now, the folks who pay our federal employees' salaries are net nearly $50,000 in the hole in national debt. Nearly, I think it's over $100,000 per taxpayer. That is unconscionable, and that's why we are asking our employees, unfortunately, and with sorrow, to make a sacrifice. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.